Right, so this is podcast 7, and this is the Marauding Sea Bass podcast 7, sandy beaches. So we're going to cover what it's like to fish on a sandy beach. So we're going to try and cram it all in about 10 minutes. I don't want to try and bore you too much. So obviously with a sandy beach, it's more, you can lure fish, but it's more surf caster is the way forward. Usually I've done the best on an incoming tide, fishing a usual paternoster rig, 5-6 ounce lead, anchored on the bottom with like lugworm, 1/0 hook, something like that, 2/0 hook, 1 hook, just straight lug, put 2 or 3 lug on it, big bait, lob it out into what you want. What you're looking for is an onshore surf, fairly churned up, not unfishable, but fairly sort of churned up, rolling in. Some beautiful beaches in Ireland, Inch Beach, classic example, where they have that sort of thing. And there, somewhere like that in Ireland, where it's clear enough, you could probably wade out a bit and fish a metal with a lure rod, 9-foot spinning rod, something like that. So there's some options there. You can potentially at low water dig your own lugworm as well. So you can bring a bait fork. I know there's a few beaches around the UK, Bristol Channel, where you can, you dig your bait and it's a real fast tide coming in, and they're just using the same bait and catching bass just like that. But I usually dig my bait first, and then quickly rush round to a flood tide beach, and then just fish the incoming tide. So each venue has its sort of variances. What else can we say about Shingle Beach? You could try Mackerel Heads. If you're not got any lugworm or anything like that, you could try sort of a fresh mackerel head, or just frozen mackerel, and just chop off the head. Just put like a 3 or 4 hook through the head, and just cast it out and just try your luck. You can try that sort of thing. I'm just trying to think what else about sandy beaches. Like I say, conditions will pretty much dictate, how well you do and tide. So you really want to look for the sort of increase in sort of tides, or the back end of some real high tides. Biggest tide in the range. The new moon for me is the favourite one. If there's a lot of fish about on an incoming tide, you'll just get them throughout the tide. But usually the top 2 hours are pretty good. So you want good baits, good fresh baits. You want to try and avoid any weed. If there's been a storm or something like that, you can see some floating weed. That's going to ruin your lead on the bottom, so to speak. Break strain lines. So if you're fishing a multiplier and a 12-foot surf cast, or something like 12 to 15 pound main line, you've got sort of a clear sort of leader straight to your hook. I'm just trying to think what else sort of works. I have sort of done quite a lot of that fishing myself, and when the bass are in, when there's bass there, it's usually when there's quite a good surf rolling. Flat calm, not so good. You might pick off 1 or 2, but if you go there on when the conditions are really good, there's a real good stiff onshore sort of wind on an incoming tide, you can just get one after the other. I can remember fishing off my part of the coast and having like 10 or 15 in a day, like 1 2 pounders, one after the other. Nothing huge, but usually the days when you do run into a better fish, it'll just be like that fish on its own, or that and another one. But sometimes you can turn up with the old surf casting and you can run into a really good really good sort of session. So I'm just going to crack open this beer. Ooh. So this is my favourite Guinness Original. I just love the stuff. I really do. So with regards to places, all I would say is your local patch. Just fish it to death. There's no reason why you can't run into some good fish on your local patch. You don't need to sort of, it's nice to fish in different areas, but to drive 4 or 5 hours to fish somewhere, you're not really sure how well it fishes, and then your own patch, you probably would have done better if you just sort of stayed put fish and stuck at that and had a black food blanks there. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think your own patch, you know, fish it till you're blue in the face. You know, it's yeah, it's not rocket science really. The old fishing from the beach. If you've got some features on it, like if there's like you're aware there's sort of a rocky outcrop out there, obviously you don't want to cast into that because you're going to lose your lead with your wires and all that. You want to be fishing just to the side of that. So you're going to lose a few bits of gear to identify where you can sort of fish. Remember, each year it changes. The sea will suck out sand or build sand up, so it all changes all the time. So you expect to lose a few bits of gear. Sometimes fishing near groins on certain beaches, fishing the end of groins is a good area to focus on, but you run the risk of putting your lead over the groin and losing gear that way. But if you can sort of just, you know, get really good at casting and not getting too carried away straight away, just plonk it, just, you know, being relaxed is key to sort of putting a cast where you want. You know, if you get all, you know, keyed up and anxious and trying too hard, that's when you hang on to the line a little bit too long, and then it'll just drag round and hey presto. So yeah, I mean, like I say, it's not rocket science. A surf sandy beach, you're probably looking to cast a little bit further out. You sort of get breaker 1, 2, 3, 4. So it doesn't really matter if you cast short or cast long. If there's a lot of tide and weed, obviously try and drop it short. But with lugworm to one hook, when there's a big surf beach and it's breaking a long way out, it pays us to pelt it as far as you can, really. Try and get 100 yards. But on a slightly deeper sort of shelving beach, maybe sort of 20, 30 yards is a good cast. Not very, very, very short. So yeah, mackerel heads is an option. I mean, I've heard people try an eel, pilchards, things like that. Pilchards are very soft, so I go for the mackerel head, me personally, because you know it's on, it's not going to fly off your hook. With the mackerel head, you don't need any cotton or anything, just go through the nose once, the hook point exposed. So yeah, so the gear you need really is either a fixed spool, something like 8,000, rig with 15-pound main line, shock leader, 12, 13, 14 foot surf caster. I would just try fishing one rod for a start. I wouldn't complicate it with two. Two's very exhausting. When I was younger, I used to always fish two, but I'm slowly starting to go towards sort of one rod now. So yeah, it's yeah. So you know, don't be frightened if you get the blank. Watch the you know, the internet reports as they come through. There, you know, there's some good anglers on there, and I'm absolutely amazed they put their data on there, but they do, and it's the best indicator that there's something happening somewhere. And as soon as you see that information, just go the next day. If you see some fish being caught, that's the classic. You know, that's the classic one. That is World Sea Fishing Forum in your sector. Try that. Yeah, like you say, fresh bait is key. Sharp hooks, razor sharp hooks, Cassanian are good hooks. Just trying to think what else you need for that. Obviously, smaller fish, just put them back. You know, if you fish small hook, if you fish like a size 1 hook, you'll still pick up the bass, even quite a good bass. And with a size 1, you could still pick up your plaice, turbot, your brill, your dabs, flounders, things like that, which are worth, you know. So that's where 2 rods might come into the fore. You know, we have 1 rod with a size 1 hook, fishing straight lugworm, and you have another rod fishing, say, like a 2.0, aimed with a big lug bait, aimed at attracting a good bass. And the smaller fish might just be pecking at a bigger bait. That's where the bigger bass will just come in and just grab it. So that's pretty much sandy beaches, really. So it's needs to be rollers coming in, and fresh baits, building tides. You don't really want the neat tides, the the real weak tides. I wouldn't waste your time. Bass are always more active on the bigger tides. They can be slightly more difficult to fish with weed and things like that. The new moon for me is tons better than the full moon, but that's not to say don't go on a full moon. You can't have it right all the time, So that's it. That's pretty much sandy beaches, really. It's not rocket science. Just get yourself out there and go for it when you think the conditions are right. And most importantly, just enjoy yourself, even if you're blank. It's just nice being on the beach, just getting that sea air, and just just casting is just nice. Just having a bait out there. And if you use those slightly smaller size 1 hooks, then you've got a chance of running into some other stuff there as well, which makes it really interesting. So it's not all about the bass. I was very, very one-track minded with just the bass, and I'm not being funny. That's how you need to be if you're going to run into a better bass. I'm talking like 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds, something like that. You need to be just totally focused on that. So, but they're still nice to, you still pick off a good bass on a size 1 hook. When you got him on, just take your time, just coach him in. That's as simple as that. I've not had many. I've had a few. I've not had many. But once you've had a couple of good ones, it's you sort of would like to catch another one, but getting a double figure bass would be nice. But there's more of those on the south coast of England. They are here off different parts of the coast, but the south coast of England, sort of Portsmouth, Hastings, that sort of area along there, in the summer months, or let's just say September sort of time, there just seems to be a lot more bigger fish down that way. I don't know why that would be. It's just, I don't know, the English channels always has a lot of extra sort of bigger fish, but who knows. Right, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will speak to you later. Please subscribe. See you guys.